Welcome to Tech Tuesday. I'm Kevin Hunter with Harry Brelsford, and today we're going to talk about some of the business models and the way business as we've experienced in the past are changing due to the national pandemic and how a lot of things are moving into the online spaces. So, Harry, if you'd like, go ahead and kick us off, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So, Kevin, as you and I were actually having this conversation in one of our recent episodes, in that we were talking about the obvious that's been going on the last 2-3 months with the pandemic and so on. And I think, quite frankly, a lot of people, we maybe talked our way through that. And so an outcome of that is the way business is fundamentally changing. There's going to be winners and losers. And so what I've been monitoring in particular is the restaurant industry and healthcare. And I know you have a background in the automobile industry. Let's start with the restaurant business. And again, this is not necessarily to anybody, but it's going to be different. The new normal is going to be different, right? If you have restaurants that go online only, you have restaurants that have 25% capacity because of social distancing. It's just changing their business model, and there's going to be a much larger online element. And that's probably what it's going to take. And I actually had this talk, Kevin, with the point of sale trade. So RSPA, those are the technology people that put in point of sale devices at restaurants and retail. And so we've had this talk that it's going to be different. And then, Kevin, the other thing would be healthcare. That, my goodness gracious, you can have some preliminary conversations with your doctor via telehealthcare now, instead of making an in-person office visit, which saves time. And Kevin, in the case of myself, I'm like anyone else. A pill for high blood pressure. I exercise. I'm trying to eat better, but I'm like anybody else. And if I can have that conversation with my doctor online instead of having to go to the clinic, it saves us both time and money when it comes time to renew your prescription, if that makes sense.
Without any doubt. And the interesting part is almost a month ago, I was just visiting with a number of different colleagues on a conference call we were all on. And that was one of the things I was saying. I said, I expect one of the benefits, if you will, that will come out of this pandemic is we are actually going to see decreased cost in healthcare because people are going to figure out a different way to interface with their doctors, which won't necessitate visits that are in the several hundreds, if not thousands of dollars when somebody stops into a doctor's office. And so, yeah, that's going to change things to a very significant effect. In fact, right now, one of the things that we heard in the beginning of all of this is that, potentially all the hospitals would be overrun all around the country. And because people are making different choices with how they interact with their healthcare providers, what we're hearing instead is doctors and hospitals saying all around the country that entire floors. I was listening to a broadcast just the other day by two physicians out of California, and 2 floors of their hospital right now are completely vacant. No employees, no patients, nothing. And, they talked about some of the people that they're interfacing with either via email or phone or other methods, that they have set up. And it's really interesting how from diabetes to even a heart-related issue, talking about visiting with somebody over the phone and talking through their symptoms, we're going to see a different model in the healthcare industry in the long run because of this.
Yeah. Well, my question for you is the niche where you have expertise with the automobile industry, the automobile sales industry. And I'm what I see the ads on TV and no touch delivery and all that. What's going on? I mean, that's...
Well, what's interesting is I have been advising consumers for a long time to start your car shopping online to begin with. So get all that research out of the way, even have a online conversation or phone conversation with your own bank or credit union. Then you can research, the trade values, what your car might be worth if you're going to trade a vehicle in. Having all that homework done in advance prior to going to a dealership makes you much more knowledgeable and informed buyer, and informed buyers get better deals all the time. So even without any of this going on, you needed to do most of that work online. So what's really happened is essentially you're taking that face-to-face interface out on the dealer lot. And then even more important, and people should really be aware of this, more important is that the game playing that you see happening in dealerships, with the sales person and the sales manager and the desking manager and the car appraising manager and the finance manager, all these people teaming up to create a pretty imposing sales process on most customers. Well, that's gone. You get to communicate with them over the internet entirely, without all of that undue pressure. And some of the reports that I'm hearing about car deals, and when I say some of them, on a busy day, Harry, I get as many as 1,000 comments a day from consumers around the country. Yeah. And then my email box is filling up every single day from car buyers and then people inside the business. So when I share with you what I'm hearing and seeing, it's coming literally from thousands of people all over the country every single day. And I shared with you even before the show, 240,000 viewers are visiting my channel every 48 hours right now. So yeah, it's a big chunk of people. And I'm telling you that all of these people are telling me that the environment is changing towards a much friendlier, more hospitable type situation, because they can't bring you into the lion's den. And the delivery to homes is happening on a regular basis as well. So the one downside of that, and there's a lot of ways to deal with it, but the one downside of it, when you think about test drives and having your own mechanic look at it if it's a used car, those can be difficult things, but you have conversation with them and make pre-arrangements. And I can tell you this much: if I want the mechanic that I am friends with, if I want him to be at my house at 4 o'clock this afternoon because I have a car coming in, he'll be here, and I'll pay him appropriately to be here. But trust me, that money is well worth it. So yeah, you can do what you have to do, and then obviously go on your own test drive and then agree to the vehicle. But just because they're delivering it to your house doesn't mean you have to skip inspection by your mechanic and that you have to skip doing a proper test drive.
Yeah, I wonder, and maybe we'll end on this, I wonder, do you think with the new normal for automobile purchases, and by the way, I may be purchasing a truck in August, so maybe we'll make that a show and you'll walk me through the
we definitely have to do that.
Yeah, let's make that a show. I won't go into that now, but do you think that there's going to be redundancy in the staff, right? Like a restaurant, if they only have 25% capacity, unfortunately, they might have to let a dishwasher and a waitress and a waiter go. There's redundancy. Are you thinking you're going to see that on the car lot, that you're going to shrink the workforce with the new normal?
Without any question. And it's happening already. And here's kind of a insider story that not a lot of people hear about. But when you think about, some of the negativity that happens between dealers and car buyers out there, the interesting thing is when people wonder, where do these attitudes come from? That is this just a bad apple somewhere in the mix, or is this coming from management, or is it even coming from ownership? Well, let me give you an example that this kind of attitude that's been prevalent in the car business for a long time, that actually comes right from ownership. And so when you're complaining about mistreatment by either your salesman or the sales manager or the finance manager, you have to understand that all of them are just following walking orders right from the top. And I'll just give you one of the examples. There's many of these, but let me give you one of the examples that shows you just how coarse they can be when it comes to dealing with other human beings. Do you know how many dealers and dealer employees I heard from around the country who actually, on the morning their dealership decided to just let them go, sent out a group text to their entire sales staff and fired them via text, or laid them off via text? But that was just the P.S. Don't come into work today, John. You're done. And you're like, really? these are people, are the human assets you've had in your organization, and you aren't kind enough or nice enough to even pick up the phone and call them. Or no, so there's been a lot of discussion even among national car trainers online of just the really callous way that many of these dealers dealt with their employees. And here's our great example, shining example of a salesman on the back here. But no, that attitude, if people ever wondered, comes right from the top. And whenever you go, if it ever becomes a situation where you feel you're mistreated by somebody, I used to tell people that, if you go complain to the ownership about how you were treated, that it's kind of like going and talking to Satan and say, you don't really like how this little angel on your shoulder is talking to you. He's like, where do you think I'm getting my messages from? So I'll leave you with that. It's coming right from the top. Interesting business model, but it's going to go through a lot of changes here with everything going on with the pandemic.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, for letting me be part of your reindeer games here on Tech Tuesday. Always fun.
All right, perfect. Thanks, everyone, for joining us here on Tech Tuesday. Kevin Hunter with Harry Brelsford. Till next time, take care, everyone.